with nothing. So why do they spawn not only with stuff, but a whole village? When did that happen? That couldn't happen right before you spawned in the world. No, that should have happened years and years before that. Around 10,000 years before you spawned in the world, villagers were small groups which were always on the move. This was their only way of surviving, to hunt down wild animals and gather all sorts of food along the way to stay alive. It is what they've done for thousands of years. They knew they wouldn't survive by standing still, because their food was always on the move as well. Hey, let's stay here, said a villager. So one day they stood still. Well, that sounds like a stupid idea. And to much surprise, that decision didn't cause them to die. Quite frankly, the opposite happened. They finally figured out they could use grass as food, and because grass has seeds, they could just stay in one place and replant it to make even better, more tasty grass. So that's what they did. They built their first houses out of branches and dirt alongside rivers. Because it's flat, there's enough water and the dirt is perfect for growing food. This was the beginning of villages as we all know them today. Now, with a permanent place to stay, they could make more people, and more people meant more food and more houses to put them in. But at some point, that wasn't enough. There needed to be improvements for them to grow even more. So they made better houses with a clay mixture for the walls, supported by wood, and the wheat parts they didn't eat as roofs. The village was still relatively small. There were no roads, but the grass slowly changed color into pathways, which was just that grass from the villagers walking over it all the time. There were no walls, because villagers are very peaceful and didn't start wars with each other. So there was no need to waste materials on that. And all the farms still needed to be built directly next to rivers, which couldn't be huge. That would mean further away from the village, and more walking means more danger. At that time, wheat was the main source of food. There were cows in the area, but wild. They didn't want to be close to the villagers. Most probably because when another species comes towards you, it probably wants to eat you. This formula can be turned around, which is what villagers were about to test out. Hey, want to come join us? No. What if we give you wheat? Okay, sure. At this point, villagers had more food, growth in population, better houses, and animal friends. They only had to build fences around them, so they wouldn't run away after they realized they are the food. Everything seemed to be normal, until something strange happened. The villagers saw something appear out of nowhere. They didn't know what it was. But before they could reach it, it was already gone, leaving only a half-broken, flying tree behind. No one could explain what just happened, so they tried to make sense of it by calling it work of the gods. With the fear of making the gods at some point angry, they began making temples for them to offer their goods for a hopeful future. The village grew even bigger and bigger, with more farms providing more food. This way, less people had to farm to feed everyone. This small group could do other work and had the time to come up with new inventions, like this oven used for hardening clay pots, making it easier to transport water from the river to the village. Also, after grinding down their wheat and baking it, bread was created instead of the mushy wheat soup they always had. Horses were tamed, mines were made, and the wheel was invented. Okay, maybe not the wheel. That doesn't make very much sense in this game. As quick as this all seemed to go, it was by far not the fastest growing village. For that, we need to go elsewhere. This was one of the fastest growing, most advanced civilizations in Minecraft. With the help of animals, desert civilizations created better, more efficient farming, so more people could do other things, like building temples for worshipping their god.